Normally we go through the recap and we get things from the perspective of you all. However, due to the nature of the current events, I think that might just end up being presented. And we left off, so the narrators cliffhanger and then ease into the next episode here. We left off after Mr. Halver was brought down, and a finishing blow was landed by a fireball from Bright. Norallie had run over to mournfully cling to her mentor, well, I mean, given the fact her brother is sort of AWOL, her only relative. He may not be a tiefling, but he is a tiefling to her. And in the midst of hugging his neck and mourning, that is when this sentient hair or something decided to start wiggling, and it was wiggling past Bright. It was starting to accumulate underneath Mr. Halver's body, and with a mighty slurp, Norallie was taken into some sort of a realm or something. And this is where we pick up as Norallie was being tested or cajoled. Norallie was being monitored, measured, and all of this was taking place inside some kind of a cocoon. Now, to her, it may not have seemed as such, but to the others, to Jacob, who ended up grabbing sort of onto Norallie in the hair and also getting sucked in, to Mordecai, who, despite making the connection that this had the properties of a flesh tree, that he, you want to learn how to swim, you got to jump in the water, and Mordecai went into the deep end. And even during the discussion, to Selene or Bright, maybe even went off the deep end by just hurling himself at this entity that was meant to... Ooh, that background noise might be a little loud. One moment here, because if I turn down the general volume, that is going to turn down your all's voices, and I want the people to hear you. Okay, that should be good. I'll watch the bar. And so Jacob is here and is manifesting these powers, especially this green flame, this jade flame, just starts encapsulating his hatchet, kind of the trusty family hatchet that a lot of families in Green Shield, a Sylvan society here get, and was hacking through Mordecai, who was force-fed blood by Norallie to get him up, and apparently had given him the gift, of chaos magic, allowed Mordecai to blast, and there was a lot of green numbers in that session, and to just break through. Selene, who would also have been yummy food for this flesh tree, was also absorbed because of a certain condition that she's in, and though without chaos magic, she had to think about how could she interact, how could she help, and actually it was because of the chaos magic of Mordecai, and of all things, a repeated number on this percentile table that allowed for an interesting interaction, and you're trying your best. Whether or not a lot of good was directly coming from it, Selene, you were still there. You were still putting in the effort, and finally, as things had happened, you were receiving sort of a narration from a voice. Jacob, on top of this thing, you saw some lights. You might have seen some movement as you were breaking through. And we had left off as things had gone quiet, and you could just barely see apparently Norallie inside this. To you, it would have been more not like a huge chamber as it was being described to her, but more like a cocoon that she was sort of bound in. But she was shrouded with some some hairs and whatnot. And so what we're going to be doing, we are going to pick up with Jacob entering the cocoon first, describe what's happening, and we're going to see what's going to happen here as, well, the session's title is Mourn, and it might very well be a time for reflection. And then Bright, you're casting a ritual on the outside, and I will, when as it processes, we'll get to you.
Yeah, I mean, it's probably not gonna finish.
All right, so we have Jacob. Sweat on your brow. Your voice certainly has. If probably good that you've commanded people with your experience before. Otherwise, it would probably be more shredded if it's not already. With what you're shouting and the ferocity of your blows as you're trying to get in there, you cut through, and you find. Is that Norallie? That there's some light that's allowing you to see. Curse your human eyes. But you can see her boots. Norallie always rocked a particular style. But if you'd like to climb in, and I think Mordecai and Selene wanted to as well, but I'm going to give first dibs to Jacob on entering.
Yes, most certainly. Can't allow the young one to end up expiring here. Expiring. Unfortunately, it ends up appearing that I must end up entering and trying to end up bringing her out one way or another. At the very least, there is a small comfort in knowing that I can at least hack my way out, given enough time, though time seems to be very precious a commodity right now.
All right, so Jacob, you're crawling in. The letters that you had seen now you had seen it in reverse, but the letters that you saw are fading, and with it the light. However, there is still streaks of kind of a lavender light that seem to be pouring out from between these black binds that are wrapped around a cocoon Norallie inside this own, like mini. Again, not like a room, but like a little cocoon chamber. And you see one of her boots is hanging out.
No rash actions. First thing I'm going to do is just observe my surroundings to the best of my ability. Is anything particularly making sense in here? You say that there's these moments of light, her boots wrapped up. Or she's wrapped up except for a lone boot that allows me to identify her, so at this point I'm going to end up trying to investigate and hopefully not have to end up throwing my blade into her by accident and trying to get her out as I got myself in.
All right. So you're going up and you're going to try and to cut her free. As that's happening, Mordecai, we're going to have you slip in behind. There's not a ton of room in here because, again, it's not like a big open room. Not like the room, quote-unquote, because there's not really a ceiling or a floor where you're at. But certainly there was space and connections, and you were also seeing things. I mean, you were looking beyond. It was... You could see maybe the fabric of reality. Was it a cruel illusion? I'm going to let you process that. But crawling inside here, you can see that there are beams of lavender light that are kind of shifting, and this area is filling with more light as Jacob is taking his hatchet here, and with the green flame as well, because that's how you're able to interact with this stuff. He's cutting through, and kind of a more light is starting to fill the area. What are you doing now, as you're entering the scene?
I'm going to approach, and knowing that she got a little banged up with the fight with Mr. Halvard, I'm going to cast Cure Wounds.
Okay. And you cast the spell, and the spell does not go off.
In what fashion?
In the fashion that there's not a target for the spell. You're casting a spell in a direction, and you are willing your magic to restore this person. And it doesn't seem to take.
Like I did with Selter?
Yes.
I'm instantly going to try and yank her out.
Okay. There's a boot hanging out. I mean, you can grab on while, Jacob is, like, cutting through.
Yeah.
So you can try and, yeah.
Just pulling as fast as I can.
All right.
I would give him some assistance with that.
All right. Selene, so when you're crawling up and in, you can see that, Jacob is here. He's trying his best. Mordecai is there pulling and hoping. And, in its own weird way, Selene, not but maybe a month or so ago, you were on a ship to Mesomasca, and, another life was being brought, well, hopefully a life brought into the world in a similar fashion that you had assisted with as well. And we'll see what happens. Jacob, you're cutting and you're freeing, and Mordecai, roll in athletics for me, please, as you're also tugging. Because for Jacob, I'm not going to have your roll. I mean, you're there, and you are, you're not necessarily just, like, as quick as you can, recklessly. Okay. Mordecai, you pull, and for a moment, you stumble backwards, and it's only just like a couple inches until this almost hammock-like wall behind you catches you. And you're holding onto Norallie's boot. And as that happens, you can see that her lavender flesh is like the whole room is sort of like filling with lavender light. Though you can see that the flesh is turning into motes of light, and similar, maybe similar in effect to how you sort of react in sunlight, and you're throwing off light and whatnot. You can see that her body is doing similar. However, she is dissipating from it. She's becoming discorporate as these motes of light are just fading and filling.
Selene, help her.
Help her how? My magic doesn't work in here, remember?
We have to do something.
Not to mention, we don't have the materials for it. Selta was a lucky shot because she had gathered up all that stuff. I don't have that. The defibrillator is expensive. Okay?
What's a defibrillator?
It's a scientific thing. Sometimes mages use lightning magic to revive people whose hearts are stopped.
That's horrifying.
It's experimental. But
we need to get a child
but the
out
thing is,
right now.
it's expensive to run, is the thing.
Just do something. And I'm still trying to pull Norallie out.
All right, if that's the case, then you have some leverage there. I'll try and end up cutting down here. You grab hold of he grabs hold of Norallie's ankle as he kind of just runs the blade. He's kind of trying to use her boot as a guide to kind of like see if he can peel this away, like grabbing hold of her skin if he can, like see, like, can he get a grip of anything at this point? What the?
You're muted.
So too is more and more of Norallie slipping through your fingers. She's turning into this lavender light and just dissipating. You hold on and you pull, and it's just, it's like light just comes with your grip. It like rolls up like clay, if you're dragging your fingers across, and you have this lavender, this beautiful, tragic, glowing lavender on your hands as it's evaporating.
I just yelled out, "Let her go!"
Come on.
Selene,
Come on, kid.
make a medicine.
Selene.
Oh. You there?
Oh, you want me to do a medicine?
Medicine check, please, yes.
Yep, I can do that. I thought you were talking to Oh wow. I imagine she's suffering from a case of something not good, but whatever that is, I don't know.
This is, so what is happening in front of you is absolutely baffling. This might be one of the rare moments where you are medically, you're shocked, or something is occurring that, you're not stunned or anything mechanically, but you're certainly, you're taken aback as you're trying to process. You're racking your mind. Okay, so magical energies. In the 101 and 201, we discussed curative properties and how they flow through the flesh, and you're going over this, but nothing is making sense. Especially as you see with Mordecai, or especially like Jacob, trying to pull, and just like a gob of flesh wells up between his fingers, and he's looking as Norallie is like liquefying into light or magic or magical light even. You can see that she still has a skeleton.
Is her head still intact?
Her head hasn't been revealed yet. Like they're trying to get her lower body, like to pull her out of this black hair cocoon.
Could I reach in through the outside and place 2 fingers to her neck to check her pulse, or check her pulse through her hand, through her wrist? Jacob has been trying to not hack away, but you've certainly been trying to sever and clear and clear a path. Yeah, Jacob, because you've probably had to clear people out of ropes and whatnot who've gotten tangled up trying to climb trees and cut them down, or have gone fishing in the rivers or whatever. So you're using these sort of first responder tactics you're using practical knowledge in an insane environment right now. So sure, Selene, you kind of wiggle, you wiggle your arm through kind of loose loops of this black hair, and as you do, violet light is pouring out through the hole where you're reaching in order to try and find an area that you can take a pulse. And as you do, you feel warmth, you feel softness. It at first touch, it might bring you even hope that that she, we have this tender young woman, could she be alive? Could she, her soft skin and warmth still be there? And you realize that as you push, you're going through substance, through something that has some resistance, and there's no pulse, and when you retract your hand, you just see this liquefied stuff on the tips of your fingers. There's no pulse.
And
unless you consider this a pulse. And she holds up her fingers.
And just violet motes of light are dissipating into the blackness.
You say dissipating into the blackness. Are they going in any particular direction?
Not a particular one. It wouldn't be like following smoke in a breeze or anything like that. It's just sort of radiating out and dispersing.
No.
Mordecai just starts repeating under his breath, "Give her back. Give her back. Give her back."
Mr. Silverleaf, this is no time to panic.
And after a while of this effort, Norallie, in a sense, is returned as her remains slip out of the confines that were holding her through the hole that has been carved and gashed through the silken black hair. And what emerges is a skeleton of a tiefling with a crown of horns out of her skull. And
I
her
was just going to ask.
her boots and clothes also come tumbling out after her. And you find... Oh, go ahead.
I was just going to ask, what about the crystal in her chest? Is that still there, or...?
The crystal is, in fact, still there. And the crystal has also, in fact, infused her skeleton, as a glittering crystalline skeleton is what is, in a morbid sense, birthed out of this cocoon. And the last of the violet light glitters and glows off the refracted angles and such of her bones, or I don't know if they're even bones anymore, really. And then a beam of light, of actual light, not a green flame, not magical castings. A beam of light shines in, hits Norallie's skeleton, and like a prism, this smaller chamber just explodes with color, and more and more and more light, and the ground underneath you begins to become unstable, like you're sinking into water or quicksand, or just the world is unraveling around you.
Can we attempt to get out of the cocoon, maybe? Because we know that there is an outer wall. So we're just going to attempt to burst the outer wall by just going in with the shield and pushing.
Okay. So ropes of this are going to fall down, Selene, and you can go up and I mean, because, Mordecai and Jacob are there, like, right by the skeleton. All this is unraveling. You go with this shield of the hero that had manifested on Jacob's shield from Mordecai's effect, and, a big kind of rope of, a big rope of this silken, this black silken hair falls, and you deflect it, and you're trying to create, like, a bubble, or in an area here, for the others to be safe and not be smothered by the collapsing substance. And from here, bright on the beach, about 100-ish feet back, in a very well-selected nook behind a sand wall, you see that this raven-haired polyp of some kind begins to dissipate and is blowing away in the breeze. Just, it's starting to unwind, almost like a grotesque yet maybe still beautiful flower. I mean, you have your own sensibilities. It is opening, and just the waves in the breeze are starting to take the hair away. And you see Selene standing, shield up, and, trying to bat away hair and scatter it. Mordecai and Jacob are there, and there's a big shedding of hair. And there, between Mordecai and Jacob, is the skeleton of a tiefling that glitters in the sunlight.
Obviously, I'm gonna stop my casting and start running over to them as quick as I can. And I'll stop and pick up Piggy Sue along the way. Whoop.
Okay.
Chirp, 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 chirp. Yeah. We'll have to write in this floof now, the other ones. Other ones, on sabbatical.
Yes. Sorry, I forgot to mention that in the recap. So...
Is anything else happening with the skeleton?
No. It's motionless. It's, I mean, you can cradle it, but it's not necessarily being held together by anything.
Okay. Very quickly, I would like to cast Detect Good and Evil.
Okay.
Just to detect if the Fey presence is gone from the skeleton now that the crystal is infused into her, or if it's still there. That's very important. Don't want to leave that lying in the ground, have some poor grave robber find it, and then get possessed.
Norallie is, her skeleton anyway, is still, glows as it does. And you're finding no other, they're sort of the usual, everyone glows as they have, as you all have picked up, you know, this and that along the way. Norallie is still detecting in your detect evil and good filter, as she has before, though...
As a Fey.
She's a skeleton. But this presence, this energy, something, is here.
Selene just frowns deeply.
I ran up. I finally got there. It took me 12 seconds.
How precise.
So, I'm glad. I mean, you're okay. Hi. Is this? Oh.
We'll kind of have a. Then you run up.
So, why did you bring back this and not Norallie?
This is
Norallie instead.
She's gone, Bright.
This is Norallie.
It did happen.
We tried to get to her. We weren't fast enough.
Sorry.
Just ate her.
That's so unfair. How? Why her?
I don't know.
He's sparkly.
I have some worse news.
Seems to be the usual kind of news.
Yeah.
It's the worst news.
We cannot let her remains rest here.
I don't want to think about that, but you're probably right this time. I think we'll need them. But I think we'll need them.
That aside, that's actually not the point. The point is that the crystal that was within Norallie's chest is now fused to her skeleton, and the Fey presence within still resides there. We can't bury her here because what if some poor schmuck decides to dig her up finds a crystalline skeleton, decides to touch it, and then gets possessed. The wild magic that was keeping it back is no longer keeping it back.
And also, we probably shouldn't bury someone like this, like, at the side of a fey circle. Like, that seems like a bad idea, too. So, take her with us.
If for a moment I can pause you here, I'd like to address Norallie. Norallie?
Mm-hmm.
Everything just was simultaneously black. The blackest black times infinity. And at the same time also was light. And you remember seeing words as things were getting dark. It brought these words out. And the light turned to black and the black turned to light and just nothing made sense. And you cleared your eyes and maybe this seems kind of like Mr. Halver's scrying spell. You remember you were standing on a beach, you could kind of look around, and it's difficult to see as your eyes are getting used to what's here, but the gang all seems gathered around together, and they're talking about burying and what's going on. And so Norallie, I'm placing you here as you're standing with your feet in the waves. However, the waves seem to be passing through you. Again, am I scrying? What's happening?
I'm gonna try to walk over to them.
You do so.
Guys? What's going on? It was dark and now it's not.
Still have to bury the dragon, though.
Yeah.
Want to.
No, that is not true. I just wished to take a little bit and then give him his proper funeral rites and then bury him. It wasn't that I didn't want to bury him, because he deserves to rest just as peacefully as anyone else.
Jacob ends up placing his hand on Mr. Ned's Silverleaf shoulder. It'll be alright, son. It'll be alright.
At this point, however, I don't see as if we have any other choice, but if you give me a few moments, I can, at the very least, prepare Norallie's body to be transported in a respectful manner.
Yeah, do whatever you need.
Body? What?
I guess I'll start digging the hole. I can probably just dig the sand out from around Mr. Halver and just do it.
That is
I don't know,
probably
an
the
hour or
best.
so.
That is
Light up
probably
a
the
fire or
best.
something.
No,
Guys?
no. There is no need for a pyre.
Why not?
I have ways to let them
Always
rest
so
peacefully.
freaking vague.
Rituals, proper rituals, last rites, things like that.
I'll start digging the hole, but I'm gonna make a big pile of sand, because sand.
Okay.
And that is quite fine. Thank you, Brad, if you could get on that. And meanwhile, I am going to pull out some cloth from my bag and begin slowly wrapping Norallie's body, Norallie's skeleton, the crystalline skeleton, in a not like a mummy, but more like a package kind of deal. So be it like a humanoid package, kind of spaced out and padded out a bit.
Guys, what are you doing?
Mordecai just walks towards the edge of the water. Just stares.
Asked Mold Earth 1,024 times.
Very specific, but I'd expect nothing less.
Right.
Jacob, at this point, recognizes Mr.
That's
Silver.
It's an hour and 42 minutes of casting Mold Earth.
Jacob, at this point, takes his leave of Mr. Silverleaf, as it's very clear he needs a moment, and will assist the small one to prepare the dragon's body, though he does still keep an eye on the priestess Selene, as she has been less than trustworthy up until this moment. Still, he hopes that the calmness of grief will at least make this manageable. They all need their time.
And Mordecai, the others have gotten up to go busy themselves. What are you doing?
Just kind of staring out into the water
Mordecai?
Just reflecting.
and reflecting. Maybe saying some angry prayers to Ouijas. Because another person's been taken from him.
Mordecai?
He just says out loud, "Why do you keep taking them?"
How loud does he say that, by the way?
Just under his breath.
Oh, okay.
Probably not audible with
Nice.
the waves and the wind.
Norallie's gonna try to touch Mordecai's shoulder.
No contact.
That's not right. That's not right.
Although, Norallie, you try to make contact with Mordecai as he's looking out to the horizon, and you try to touch his shoulder. And as you yourself are, it's not right, you're looking at your hand, you feel a tap on your shoulder.
I look around.
And you see
Hello, little one.
Doing a heckin' good son.
What you see is Jade, though dressed in a yellow sundress. She seems to stand up straight, greets you with a warm smile.
Jade, how did you get here? You were in the tree last time I saw you.
I was. And then I was everywhere. And then I was nowhere. You get used to it. I like this. Peaceful out here.
Do you know what's going on?
Would you believe me if I said yes?
I don't know. Depends on the answer, I guess.
She holds up a cup to you. And this cup seems to be of tea. Please, drink.
She's gonna just take the tea and look at it for a bit.
And you can touch it.
Yeah. Okay. Takes a sip.
No lie. Can I ask you something?
Yeah, I guess.
When you look at them, I mean really look at them all, what do you see?
Well, I guess it depends on which one you mean, but most of them are my friends. Half of them are my friends.
So can I ask, why didn't you answer?
Because I don't have to tell anyone anything.
No, we're past the need for secrets now.
It's not about secrets. I just don't need to tell people things that they don't need to know. It's my business.
No, it's not anymore. Norallie. It stopped being your business a long time ago.
Sounded like my business. They're asking me specific things.
And you hate them for it?
No,
Then why do you act like you do?
I don't hate anyone. I don't act like I hate anyone.
Yes, you do.
Who do I act like I hate?
Mordecai?
I don't hate Mordecai.
He lost you. He lost you and he's crying because he never got the opportunity. Selene feels responsible for the death of someone so young. And Bright can't afford to end up feeling any more darkness in her life. And this is what it's brought. You won't let anyone in. And that's how you got here in the first place. It took a long time for me to bring you here into our life. A long time.
Why did you?
Because you're more important than you know. You don't give yourself enough credit. And I think maybe you'll just be what this world needs. But not as you are now.
What does the world need?
It needs a sister who'll look after her brother. It needs a woman who will stand against the tide. It needs someone who holds her friends close and trusts them. You keep thinking you're alone in our life, but that's never been the case. It's always been about being together. What you do impacts all of them, and so many more. What you tell and what you don't tell. What you say and what you don't say. I think part of that is because you're scared.
Of course I am. I have reason to be.
No. No, Norallie, she places an arm around her. Norallie, you have never had a reason to be scared. They're you know. Every one of them. Did you know? I saw you. And it was like looking into a mirror the first time. But I think the thing that scares you the most is you're scared to grow up. And it can be scary.
Mordecai, what are you doing? You can stand in the sea if you wish, but you know, time is passing. You hear the sand being scooped and shoveled by the collective effort of Jacob and Bright.
After I've had a minute to kind of collect myself, I go back to the others and start helping.
Okay. Norallie, Mordecai turns around, and perhaps for a moment you think that he sees you, and he walks right through you. And Jade as well, as he goes to assist the others in their tasks. Selene, what are you doing? It's been it's been some time, not an hour. But,
so the wrap will be finished up, and Selene will basically put a talisman seal on it with the symbol of Ouija on it, and then she'll slide her hands under and pick it up.
Okay.
And as she does this, and as Mordecai comes back over, she kind of looks at him with this, I suppose, it's a somewhat blank expression, but behind it there are tinges of sadness, and further, if you look, the tinges of a fire of rage. And she kind of looks at him. She goes, "Do you know what we must do, Mordecai?"
Not particularly.
We will find a place where Norallie can rest. And then we have a front door to knock down.
What front door?
She kind of turns back, like, the one that you and I both know was responsible for this.
Fine. Whatever.
And with that, she'll come over to where Jacob and Bright are burying the dragon body, so that she can get ready to get ready to perform the ritual
Okay. This discussion's taking place. Again, Bright and Jacob are digging and excavating. We come back to Norallie. These plans are being talked about. These actions are happening around you. Mordecai just walked through you.
Jade just stands there, watching Norallie, kind of letting her soak it in.
Is there anything I can do?
There's many things you could do. There's many things you could have done. And there's so much more to do. Your brother knew that when he came to me.
Is there any way for me to go back?
If I wanted it to be, I might be able to make that happen. But I don't think you want to go back.
I do.
No. You gave up.
I didn't give up.
You did. In the
What's that?
cocoon. And so were they. And they just said that they would tear down heaven's gates because of you. Because they can do one thing you can't.
What's that?
Decide.
Just because I didn't say anything doesn't mean I didn't make a choice. I just don't need to tell you anything.
Every time we've had this conversation, you're always scared to take that next step forward. You don't need to tell anybody anything. And you're gonna keep doing that. And it's gonna keep getting you hurt. It's going to keep getting your brother hurt. It's going to get Mordecai hurt. Well, the last time it got him killed. How many times more? You don't want to answer. You don't want to answer. And it's at that point, Jade's clothes become ragged and dark and dreary and torn. She doesn't want to answer. She doesn't want to answer because she's scared. Because if she answers, then she has to go forward. But if she doesn't answer, she can pretend. She can pretend to be all grown up. But she's not. No. She just keeps pretending without making the decision.
Oh, I forgot I had that bed.
And I suppose you saying your decisions out loud help you go further?
The dress returns and she stands straight up. Your brother was jealous of you. But he was willing to change that. He was willing to decide even though the consequences were dire. And no matter how much I warned him, no matter how much I tried to change his mind, he was of conviction. And you aren't. Because if you were, you wouldn't be here. Mr. Halver wouldn't be lowered into the ground. It's scary knowing that you can have all the power in all the worlds. And yet, the one thing you can't do is make the decision. You won't make the decision because when you say it, it becomes real. To decide means to remove all other truths, to remove every other option. And you want to be the little sister still.
Well, here's the decision. I'm deciding I don't want to talk to you.
Norallie walks away.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So this conversation has gone on for a while, and Norallie, you decide there in the waves to leave Jade behind, and you march back to the others. And a lot of time has passed such that, especially with Jacob helping, he and Bright have been digging a rather large pit here. And then Mordecai and Selene were talking something about a ritual. And so it's here that... were you really talking this long, such as the pit was dug? What... It's felt like it might have only been minutes, or just sentences. And yet the world continues to pass by. Around you and even through you. And now we have this ritual ready to go.
Yes. Yes, we do. So what I'm going to be doing is I am going to be casting Ceremony as a ritual, naming Funeral Rite. I'll cast it twice if I have to.
You touch one corpse, and for the next 7 days, the target can't become undead by any means short of a wish spell. I presume that you wish to bless the bones of Norallie and the remains of Mr. Halver?
Yes.
Okay. So that's fine, as we're... In out-of-character terms, we're in narrative time, so we can say that you've prepared sort of a double ceremony, you know, sort of a circumstantial thing that you can, you know, you place Norallie's bones against Mr. Halver's body, perhaps even draping them over his neck, where she was so mournful and loving to cling on to him.
And after it's done on Norallie's, Selene will pick up the bones again.
Okay.
She'd be like, all right, fill it in.
All right. Though, as this ceremony is taking place, as this is, this is a funerary rite, what I would like for each of you to do, I'm taking some DM liberty here with this spell, and for those who wish to partake in the ceremony and to add their blessing, their warding, or perhaps even through the magics contained inside of it, for those of you who are willing to participate in this Ouija's ritual, to seal the bodies from, you know, the taint of undeath. You are going to have to speak some words or sentiment, or to otherwise, if you wish to preserve the corpse, you have to give the magic something, an emotion, a feeling, something worth preserving. It's not just, you know, it's not just dipping it in formaldehyde to keep it, you know, to keep it together in death. This is, you are sealing, yeah, like you are sealing the corpse in a holy and magical fashion. And so your sentiment of the things that you knew about these people are going to be a part of this. And so if I'm going to start with Bright, and so Bright, if you wish to participate in this funerary rite, you may speak words that come from your heart. There's no this isn't maybe it's frustrating, it's not like a book. You don't just say the words and stuff happens. This is, you know, you're speaking from your mind, you're speaking from your heart, and you can offer words for Norallie and or Mr. Halver as the ritual is concluding.
Okay, so actually it's kind of refreshing to just speak from the heart, because I just moved 709 million tons of sand and my fingers are really tired. So speaking from the heart is actually kind of relaxing right now. So when I first met Norallie, I mean, it was the same time that Jacob and Mordecai did, and it's not a secret that when I first met her, we didn't get along very well. She was responsible for Mordecai. What happened to him? And it took me a long time also, she attacked me. That wasn't very nice. So it took me a long time to forgive her for that. But it also took her a while to forgive me for being so mean to her. And I think we were able to become pretty good friends. And it turned out we actually had a lot in common. We both had some problems with our siblings getting into trouble that kind of set us on this path. So I feel like, I don't know, I just don't understand why it had to be her. Why would someone like that and just take someone away? It's not fair. Ruth believes everything happens according to gears and a plan. He can't just act randomly. That's not right. If everything is gears and machines and plans, then everything has to flow, one thing to the next, cause and effect. He's breaking the rules to take her away from us.
Do you have a little fist clenched or a tear in your eye, either through frustration or sadness at that?
Probably a little fist clench, yeah. There's probably sand in it. However, it was completely the opposite. When we went to find him, we didn't know what we were going to be finding. He took us in, and the funny thing is, looking back on it, he recognized me at the door. And what happened, he must have known. He must have known what was coming. It's just so incredibly brave and incredibly kind of him to take me in, even knowing that I was going to kill him in a couple of weeks. Not that I wanted to, just I had to. And he probably felt like he had to do the same thing. So, no. It was just so wonderful of him. And he's always been like that. We know thousands of years ago that humans and tieflings banded together and they killed his mate, and they killed his eggs, his friends, and he was one of the very only survivors, and yet he befriended humanoids and he took care of them, and he took Norallie in. He was so good all the way to his heart. And it's so sad that came and twisted his gentle nature again. That I'm very sad. I guess we all know. We all know what how to do. That's all.
As Bright's memories and laments and observations conclude, a very faint pink glow sort of washes over the bones of Norallie and the corpse of Mr. Halver, the silver dragon. Selene, it is you direct now Mordecai to step forward and to
That
offer.
would be my speaking last.
Yeah, you'll be concluding the ceremony.
Yep.
Mordecai.
He has out his violin and has been assisting, giving a accompaniment to the ceremony so far. The same funeral song that he played for Raphael. The same one he played for Tazray. The same one he played for Jade. And when the song concludes, he just sets his violin down and goes to his knees and takes a minute to collect himself. Norallie, we didn't meet on the best of terms. And for a long time, I did resent you. But as I got to know you, I realized that you're not all bad. You're just a kid. Just a naive kid. Someone I ultimately felt like was my sister. I don't have a sister. But, I don't know, with, everything being so rocky between you and Loki, I thought maybe you needed a big brother to watch over you. I wanted to be that for you. I wanted to get to know you. I don't know. I just... You're not the first person that I've lost, and I'm guessing that it's not going to be the last. But I love you, kiddo. I don't know Mr. Halver. He seemed like a good man, though. It's not every day you meet a dragon. We've met two. I grew up hearing stories about heroes slaying dragons, children's stories about how glorious it is to bring one down. This isn't glorious at all. It was friendly. Wasn't at all the monster that I'd heard in tales. I
Norallie,
hope you find peace, Mr. Halber.
sorry, Mordecai.
Oh, sorry,
Or
I was just saying.
was that your
I was just saying, I hope you find peace, Mr. Halber, and that's it.
Norallie? What are you saying or doing? You've heard Bright speak. You've heard Mordecai speak. Are you standing there? Are you laying with your own bones with Mr. Halver? Are you shouting to the skies above? What are you doing in this moment?
I'm just standing there, watching.
As the spell continues to, this ritual begins to coalesce and manifest, a wash of blue flows over your crystalline bones, Norallie, and from there it refracts across the remains of the silver dragon, Mr. Halver. And there's a moment, and the blue fades as the pink had faded, settling into you and to Mr. Halver as you are set together. And Selene now asks if Investigator Jacob Stillwaters would like to step forward and offer thoughts, experiences, sentiments, prayers, or would otherwise like to add to the moment.
What is there to say? A child taken too soon. Far too soon. Rebellious as any child should be. It's like speaking to me was like she was committing some great and terrible sin. Youth. And I end up wondering about her. And I end up seeing that she was loved. Maybe not immediately, but in the end, she was loved. No greater reward. Yet still, many regret that I did not get to end up getting to know her. But I know her impact on the faces I see before me. With tears, frustration. She meant something. It's more than many can say in this world. More than a lot.
And then, if your sentiments are concluded, Jacob, what color manifests off you as your words are delivered to the remains before you?
Yellow.
Yellow. Norallie? Yellow, like the first beam of light in the morning and the final beam of light that could say goodbye to you as the sun sets, washes over your skeleton and almost settles upon Mr. Halver and just soaks in this magical radiance, this sentiment made manifest as a seal to ward and purify. And at this time, Selene begins to conclude the ceremony. And as she's speaking, before we get to your own thoughts, Selene,
Yep.
once more, we're going to visit you, Norallie. Do you have any of your own words? If you perhaps can find a way to... If the others can influence your bones or Mr. Halver, could you? Is there anything you'd like to say to yourself or to them?
I'm sorry. I didn't mean for any of this to happen. I didn't mean for what happened with Mordecai. With Mr. Halver. I thought I would guess it doesn't. His apologies aren't really gonna help. And I am sorry.
No, my dear. I suppose they won't. But we can do a lot more. We're so close.
Close to what?
In that grave lies the remains of something ancient. In yours, the remains of something that was. These are things of the past. A focus on the past. And the future. The future is wrought and crafted by one's own decision.
I agree on that.
No, we can continue speaking for eternity. And I'm sorry to tell you, but that is a possibility. You may not like that. And I sympathize with you, I really do. But I can't make anyone do anything they don't want to. Not in the end. Not like that. That's the weird thing of it. Wants, needs. A push, a pull. I keep asking you, and you keep saying you don't need to tell me. Maybe you're right. But right now, we're speaking over your grave, and they are opening their hearts to you, giving you their lives. And I can only wonder, even if you went back, would it change you at all? Because you're already sorry for what you are and what you've done. How would you even correct it? How would you correct Mr. Halver's death? How would you correct Loki? How would you face any of it?
I'm not sure how, but I'd still try.
You have to do better than trying, Norallie.
Trying's all anyone can do.
No,
There's no guarantee.
there is. There is a guarantee, Norallie. I've been saying that from the start. I can guarantee 2 things. If you remain silent, if you do not stand, if you do not grow, if you do not stake your claim, be bold and step forward, you and me are going to have a very, very long time watching them lose each other, watching them suffer, and watching them time and time again cry, screaming at the heavens as if the heavens care. And you're going to stand here every step of the way, and you're going to reach for a shoulder that you can't touch. You're going to hang on to a body you can't hold. And you're going to speak comforting words to ears that won't hear you. And I know this because I have been doing it this whole time. Or you can change it. But you can't. You have to change. What comes back cannot be the same. It is a broken spoke, and if I cannot fix the spoke, I have to replace it entirely. And for once, I care. I actually care. Because if you don't come back fixed, then Mordecai will be a plague upon the land. Selene will achieve a victory she will just regret. And Bright will lose hope in ways that, well, I think the rest of them would be horrified to know. And I cannot let that come to pass. But you won't talk, you won't listen. Because you want to remain stubborn in silence. And you don't like that I am telling you this. If it helps, run. Run across the oceans as I have. Run into the deepest depths. Run to the clouds. It won't matter. You will always find them. And you will bear witness. She tries to place a hand on Jacob. And her hand passes through. You said you wanted to find Loki. You wanted to help him. That was enough to get you on the path. And I only hoped it was enough to make you grow. So what's stopping you?
Norallie?
Is there a way I can go back?
You're not answering my question, Norallie.
Why don't you answer mine? I've asked you a few.
I've answered every one of yours. You are not listening. Probably because you don't like the answer. I said I could, yes. But I can't send you back as you are. What you are is broken. It does not work. And it will lead them to more pain.
I suppose you know about being fixed.
Fixed in place, maybe. But not fixed. Norallie, I have seen you tear down empires. I have seen you become a vast vista of flowers and wonder. I have seen you as a loving sister. And I've seen you as a grandmother. And all of these have one thing in common. They're not you. Not as you are. Everything changes, Norallie. Everything becomes something else. It grows, it changes the world around it, and on it goes. But you refuse to. It's like what I said. You need to grow up. And that means you can no longer be a child. You can no longer look at Mordecai as the big brother. Lethality, would you please put yourself on mute?
Apologies.
I never said to let go of what you care about. But what you are right now is not what they need. It's not what Loki needs. It's not what you need. What they need is strength. Strength of conviction. One who will not be stopped. One who is willing to make the world bend. And I'm asking for a leaf to bend the world. I'm asking for a seed to bend the world. Do you understand my answer?
Yeah.
What you will change into, well, it can't be small anymore, Norallie. You can't keep pretending to be small. You can't keep pretending to be a child. You can't be petulant and hope that by not speaking, you are proving some act of defiance. Because right now, she gestures to the grave. You're as quiet as you will ever be. And I don't think that's what you really want to be.
I can do what I need to do.
Which is?
I can be stronger.
For what?
Change.
To what? Who do you want to be? Norallie, who do you want to be? Who do you want to be, Norallie?
You wouldn't like my answer?
Doesn't matter if I don't like my answer. Or your answer. Or theirs. The answer is not what I'm looking for. It is the decision. The proclamation. But you as you are, I won't change. And like that. Jade appears to be you. I'm not going. I'm gonna stay right here. Crosses her arms. I want my brother back. I'm gonna be right here. Give him back.
I think you misunderstand. My brother left and I did something. Of course it probably wasn't the best choice, but I did do it. I didn't just wait around.
And you stopped. You waited, and you waited, and you waited until you were brought together for a moment. Jade fades back into the picture, back into that drab, tattered garb. You say the words, but you don't mean them. You're nodding. Yeah.
I don't know what I think.
Really?
Okay.
You think I don't know?
You don't.
Okay. Is this where you say that your goodbyes to them? Because you've made that decision.
No. I'm not staying here.
Oh, I think you can stay here as long as you'd like.
Well,
I
don't
have
like
eternity.
to.
Well,
Not
too
staying
bad.
here.
You can try. But in the end,
Send me back. You
make
said you
me.
could.
I could, if I wanted, if I thought it would work. But why would I send something back that's just going to hurt every one of them?
Like you hurt them.
Yes.
You've done the same.
Yes, exactly. Like I did. I hurt them over and over and over again.
Then why didn't you change?
Because, like Selene says, they're going to kick in my door.
It's
Well,
at
that's your
this
own fault then.
It's at this moment the tensions rise between Jade and Norallie. The challenge, the defiance. Norallie asks Jade why she didn't change. In Selene's own voice, back in the real world, the mortal world, such as it exists in this, well, Kitty Bird had brought up the old Chinese curse of may you live in interesting times. And certainly, Mesomasca and beyond is going through a very interesting time. Selene, your voice rises, almost in conjunction with the tension that is going on unbeknownst to you off to the side, as the ritual is nearing its completion, and all it needs is your final sentiment and thoughts to seal the remains and complete the funerary rites that will preserve the bones of Norallie and the remains of Mr. Halver, the Silver Dragon.
And there we have
Norallie. sweet, tender, naive young girl, taken far before her prime. Struggling so mighty against the shackles, both physical and otherwise, of what bound her. There are many ways that this could have ended up. We all have the time when the bell of death tolls for us. But of all the possibilities, it is this one that saddens and disconcerts me the most. Wherever it is you've gone, I hope that you find your peace, whatever it may be. And that wherever you end up, beyond this mortal coil, that it's better for you. This will be the point where she removes Norallie's bones from the pit.
Quickly, lay with them. Lay with the bones. Lay with Mr. Halva.
No, I'm going back.
I said, lay there. Before it's too late.
Is that going to send me back?
Yes.
I missed the step to the bones.
At this point, time freezes for a moment as Jade creeps over the body, the bones, as Selene reaches for them. This is going to be painful for everyone. She starts to drag her finger over Norallie's face, beginning to paint the lines before she cuts the woman.
Mr. Halva, Delos of the Blue Flame. An ancient mind, a brilliant mind. Taken from the world because something wished to twist your gentle nature into something most monstrous. It is a shame that I cannot lay the woman who so loved you paternally. With you. But instead, to finish these funeral rites, I offer you this. And this is when, from Selene's pack, Selene is going to pull out the armor bits and weapon from Sulta. The stuff that they had left of her. What I lay with you instead is the pride of a woman much stronger than I am. A memorial of something lost. To the whimsy of fate. She may not be humble for it, but all I can hope is that if you two end up in the same place, that you guide her. Show her how to be of your ken. What even in the small time we knew her, what she wished to be. And then she'll say a prayer, probably in celestial to round out the ceremony, thus bringing the prayer to an end.
As the prayer concludes, Selene, what manifestation in terms of a color comes off of you to wash over the bones and the dragon scales?
Crimson red, the color of my lady.
All right. And the funerary rite concludes. There is a flash of color, colors really, that concludes with, of all things, a violet sort of shower of sparks. And in that moment, maybe for the briefest second, could have been tears in your eyes, your imagination, just magic manifesting. For a moment, you see Norallie standing over her bones and vanishes before just this physical weakness washes over all of you. You're all feeling very vulnerable right now. And so the ritual comes to an end. Selene, you're satisfied with the results? Things seem to be in place where they are? Doesn't mean that, any tears or longing or, fond memories or whatnot of the time you've spent together, it's still painful and real. Norallie, you are there. You're laying on the ground, and you are looking up and out. At this moment, you're looking up at Selene.
Can I move?
You cannot. And from the conversation, I'm going to plant the seed anyway. It seems that you are a skeleton, Norallie. However, you can see out of your body. But you cannot move. Fixed in place. Perhaps some words have come back. But you're with them. You can see. You can hear. You can't seem to speak nor move. And as the ritual concludes, Norallie, you find yourself in this position. The others are getting ready to do their work. From the distance, there is... Hoi! Another voice that's calling. And what we'll do is take a break, refresh ourselves, get a snack or a drink, and why don't we come back? I have 1:06, it just turned 1:06 a.m., so why don't we come back at 1:16, and we'll see what happens from here.